That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of freedom. It totally earned its name, Tank Killer.
$3 billion assistance. 42 years of experience. The Tank Killer. Finally, U.S. deadliest $3 billion combat vehicle is already in Ukraine. I know that I can beat this enemy, but I need resources, said the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army. In return, the United States has just committed $3 billion in assistance to Ukraine to finally turn the tide of this war. This is the largest single donation to the warring nation since the start of the Russian invasion. Although it's already a feat in that regard, one thing that makes this latest security assistance from the U.S. truly special is that for the first time, the Bradley fighting vehicle will be included. The Bradley fighting vehicle is a valuable asset on the battlefield, to say the least. It has taken out an endless register of the most heavily armored land-based assets over the last 42 years, earning it the name Tank Killer. And with tanks being a core part of the invading Russian forces, the Bradleys committed by the U.S. are expected to have a field day in Ukraine. For the Ukrainian forces, the vehicles could be the addition that finally turns the war in their favor. It could be what they've been waiting for since the very beginning, almost a year ago, as they've remained firm in believing that they can destroy their enemy if only they had needed resources, such as fighting vehicles. To this end, Germany, like the U.S., got involved and committed units of their $390,000 Marder 1 vehicles. France committed units of their $550,000 AMX-10 RC vehicle, and the U.S. has committed probably the most decisive of all, 50 units of the $1.8 million Bradley fighting vehicles. To understand how much of an impact the Bradley would be in Ukraine, it's important to take a look at its capabilities wielded in its armored chassis, lethal armament, and beyond. U.S. Bradley fighting vehicles. The origin of the Bradley fighting vehicles trace back to the early 1970s, when the initial prototypes were developed. The U.S. Army already recognized the Bradley as a battle-deciding vehicle and therefore attempted, successfully, to integrate the vehicle into a wide range of mission types. As a result, the original Bradley design has two main versions. The first was the infantry fighting vehicle known as the Bradley M2, and the second was the heavily armed scout platform known as the M3. Over the years, more versions would be introduced along with upgraded variants of the already established M2 and M3. At their core, the M2 and M3 are virtually the same, although the M2 always had an edge. Differences come in their firing ports and their internal loadouts. The M2 could carry up to 6 soldiers, while the M3 could only manage 3. One reason the M2 was far more in demand and more popular. In fact, of the various Bradley models, U.S. officials have said that Ukraine is getting the M2A2, an upgraded variant of the original M2, which was introduced in the 1980s. The Bradleys come with all-around armor protection and explosive reactive armor for defense against RPG strikes. In terms of attack, the Bradleys wield a main armament lineup of a 25mm M242 Bushmaster chain gun and 2 BGM-71 TOW anti-tank missiles. The secondary armament consists of a 7.62mm M240C machine gun. For resilient mobility, the Bradley is powered by a 600-horsepower Cummins VTA-903T diesel engine that offers a top speed of 35 miles per hour across an operational range of 250 miles. All of these combine to make the Bradley excellent in performing complex maneuvers in whatever weather condition while maintaining the safety of the crew it carries. This has been the case since the times of Operation Desert Storm in Kuwait and Iraq, and it remains the case today as Ukraine becomes home to them for the next few months. These and more are why the Bradley vehicles are considered crucial for the ongoing Ukrainian efforts, and why they are the chosen top-off of the total American military aid to Ukraine, which currently sits at more than $24 billion. Much of these donations have come via Presidential Drawdown Authority, which means that American stockpiles are accessed directly to feed Ukraine, rather than ordering the manufacture of new vehicles to be shipped. An approach that takes months at least. In terms of how this latest delivery would affect the American stockpiles, over 6,700 Bradley fighting vehicles have been built, and 50 of them being shipped out shouldn't make a dent in the U.S. inventory. And neither should there be a dent in Germany's stockpiles of the vehicles they sent to Ukraine. The Marder 1. German Marder 1. Like the American Bradley, the German Marder 1 is a heavy-tracked, armored vehicle for transporting infantry into the heat of battle as safely as possible. The Marder 1 was developed in the 1960s when it was introduced with its top-mounted coaxial machine gun turret and a 20mm automatic cannon. Later modifications incorporated an additional machine gun turret on the back of the vehicle and the Milan anti-tank missile launcher, a system that Ukraine has already received separately in its portable form. Over the years, the Marder 1 has been the beneficiary of multiple upgrades that saw the vehicle become lighter, faster, fitted with better armor, and so on. The armor on the Marder 1 is welded steel that offers decisive protection from armor-piercing discarding sabot. The vehicle's main armament is the 1,250-round 20mm Rheinmetall Mk20 RH202 automatic cannon, while its second armament is the 5,000-round 7.62mm MG3 machine gun. The Marder 1 is powered by a 591-horsepower MTU MB 833 EA500 diesel engine that gifts the vehicle a top speed of up to 47 miles per hour and an operational range of 323 miles. Another key feature of the Marder 1 is its ability to protect soldiers from nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. This capability was specified as a requirement by the German government during the development of the vehicle. And now, the capability could come in handy for the Ukrainian soldiers, especially with Russia being a leading nuclear power whose nuclear prowess could easily go beyond explosives alone. Over 2,100 Marder 1s were produced between 1969 and 1975, many of which are still being operated by multiple countries around the world, including Chile, Indonesia, Jordan, Greece, and soon to be Ukraine. Regarding the variant that would be shipped to Ukraine, it is expected to be the Marder 1A3 variant, which was a groundbreaking variant in terms of the modernization of the Marder 1. A few borders away, in France, another modernized fighting vehicle is also being committed to Ukraine. This vehicle is the AMX-10RC. French AMX-10RC. The third heavy-duty military fighting vehicle that the Ukrainian military is set to take delivery of in the coming days is the French AMX-10RC. While it isn't known yet which variant of the AMX-10RC the Ukrainian military is set to receive, whichever they do receive will be the most heavily armored of the three vehicles we've discussed, and for understandable reasons. The AMX-10RC almost breaks through the fighting vehicle space to be a light tank, and tanks, whether heavy or not, are designed to be sufficiently armored. The AMX-10RC has frontal armor that can resist armor-piercing rounds from as close as 300 meters. The vehicle then has an all-around armor protection with add-on armor, doubling down on the protection of the frontal section. When defense takes a back seat for attack, the AMX-10RC strikes with a combination of its main armament, which is the 38-round 105mm F2 BK Mecha L47 medium pressure gun, and its secondary armament, which include a 7.62mm NF1 coaxial machine gun, an optional 12.7mm M2HB AA machine gun, and 4 Galix smoke dischargers. For mobility, the AMX-10RC is powered by a 280 horsepower 6F11 engine that bears the gift of a 53 mile/hour top speed and an operational range of 500 miles. One of the vehicle's most intriguing features is its adjustable hydro-pneumatic suspension that enables the vehicle's main gun to strike targets that would normally be outside its standard field of fire. This would have come in handy in wars where the AMX-10RC played crucial roles, such as the war in Afghanistan, the Gulf War, the Western Sahara War, Operational Serval, and now, maybe, the war in Ukraine. As Western nations continue to supply Ukraine with much-needed resources, while attempting not to cross an imaginary line that would see them directly involved in the war, the Ukrainian military itself understands the existence of this red line and have continued to defend Ukraine with all resources available to it. That is, the surface-to-air missiles, howitzers, man-pads, fighting vehicles, and so on, which they have received from Western nations. The war in Ukraine, now in its 11th month, is no longer a battle between Russia and Ukraine. It is one that the whole world is now involved in. From governments to corporations to individuals, it would appear everyone now has a role to play.